The best weapons ever in Destiny 2 aren't even in the game anymore, but with the updated opulent weapons, Bungie has shown us that they're willing to bring back our old favorites. So in this video, I'll go over the best sunset weapons that need to return in Destiny 2. I'm Marshix and I make Destiny 2 guides for solo players. If you enjoy, be sure to leave a like on the video. And as always, this is my list, so I'm right and you're wrong. Coming in at number 10 is Spare Rations. If you played any time before Beyond Light, you know this hand cannon. It filled the Crucible because it got perks like Rapid Hit, Rangefinder, and Kill Clip. It was very consistent, and it was a 150 RPM hand cannon, back when those existed. Yes, 150s used to exist, and they were just straight up better than 140s. And they even got the passive lightweight buff to mobility. This wasn't only good in Crucible though, it got some insanely good rolls for PvE too. Things like Rapid Hit, Rampage, Kill Clip, Multi-Kill Clip, and Swashbuckler. Pretty much all the best damage perks at the time. I remember grinding Reckoning like crazy for this, and to this day, this is my favorite hand cannon ever. I hope so much that this returns in the next few seasons as a craftable weapon, but maybe spice it up with some crazy perk combos, like Kill Clip and Multi-Kill Clip at the same time. The next weapon is a Black Armory weapon that we all know and love. But first, this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Raid is an awesome turn-based RPG that brings a true console-level experience to your phone and PC. With hundreds of artifacts to equip and over 600 champions with unique skills, you can build your team and take on raid bosses, dungeons, campaign battles, and my favorite part, the PvP arena. I always have a ton of fun destroying other players with my team. I start with 2 AoE attacks, then if that doesn't wipe them out, I have 2 support champions to raise my attack and keep the others alive. And this month, Raid just released a giant new feature called Awakening, and a brutal new dungeon called the Iron Twins Fortress. If you're good enough to take down the Iron Twins, you'll be able to awaken your champions, which lets you choose a powerful blessing that can transform how they perform in battle. These blessings look awesome, and there's so much variety. This new feature has added an entire new level of depth and strategy. And Raid has just released a super-powered legendary version of everyone's favorite champion, Death Knight. The whole Raid community has been waiting for this, and Ultimate Death Knight is everything we hoped for. And everyone can get him for free. All you have to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and October 27th, and Ultimate Death Knight is yours. You can also use promo code DKRises for a bunch of free items to instantly level him up to level 50, 5-star Ascension. And if you haven't started playing Raid yet, click my link in the description or scan my QR code here on screen, and you'll get unique bonuses worth $30. This includes a free epic champion Rector Drath, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, 1 XP boost, and 1 ancient shard so you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in game. All of this will be waiting for you here, and don't wait, because this is only available to new players for the next 30 days. Click the link in the description, and I'll see you in game. Up next is Hammerhead. This awesome machine gun was a Black Armory weapon, so it had one of the coolest designs ever, and it could be upgraded to deal more damage and other Black Armory activities. By default, this was very stable and the best option for long-range encounters because of its really good base stats. But it could also turn into an absolute monster if you got just a decent roll. I always used dynamic sway reduction, which basically removed all recoil, and it could get either rampage or surrounded for some easy to activate damage buffs. If this does return, it would need to get some updated perks to keep it competitive, so I would love to see it get Killing Tally, or even a new Void Focus perk, since Repulsor Brace is kinda boring. The whole idea of Black Armory is that we forged our own weapons, so now that we have weapon crafting, it would make a lot of sense to be able to craft the Hammerhead. Next up is Wendigo. This was a heavy grenade launcher that had its own unique and overpowered perk at the time. This was the first weapon to get Explosive Light. Picking up Orbs of Power increases the next projectile's blast radius and damage. It also came with auto-loading holster, so you never have to reload. You may be wondering why I even bothered putting this on the list, since Typhon exists, and it also has access to Explosive Light. Well, 1, it doesn't roll with auto-loading. 2, it's a random roll, unlike Wendigo, which was always a god roll. And 3, it doesn't get blinding grenades. In fact, Wendigo is the only heavy grenade launcher to ever get blinding grenades. Being able to shoot at a group and blind all of them is very strong, and having this on your heavy weapon meant that you're free to run any special weapon you want and still benefit from that utility. This was an old pinnacle weapon, so the odds of us seeing it anytime soon is not very likely, but we can always hope. I could see them doing an Age of Triumph type update where they reintroduce this, but we'll have to wait and see. Next up is one of the hardest hitting primary weapons to ever exist. Kindled Orchid is a Black Armory hand cannon that got a really weird selection of perks. In the last column, it got decent damage perks, an explosive payload, and rampage, but if you look at the other column, it also had damage perks. Kill Clip and Surrounded. This is extremely rare in Destiny. Usually you can only get 1 damage perk on a weapon, but this could get 2, which meant it could deal close to double damage when you had both perks active. And odds are you have at least one of them up at all times. I was lucky enough to get the curated roll with Kill Clip and Rampage, and I've held on to it for years because nothing has even come close to it. I wouldn't say it's broken, but it was really strong and tons of fun to play with. If this does return, I just hope they don't ruin it. Without the insane perk combos, it would be basically nothing. One of the most unique and powerful auto rifles in Destiny is Breakneck. This was a Gambit pinnacle weapon, and it always came with Rampage and its own unique perk called Onslaught. Rampage increases your damage as you get kills, and Onslaught will increase the rate of fire of the weapon based on how many stacks of Rampage you have. Basically, you get kills, then your gun gets harder, better, faster, stronger. What more could you want? Next up is Threat Level. This was my favorite kinetic shotgun back in year 2. This was really good at the time because it could get Trench Barrel and Grave Robber. Melee to get a damage buff, or get a melee kill to reload your weapon. This made it a better version of the old Ikelos shotgun, and it was kinetic, which allowed for more variety. Unfortunately, this was an old raid weapon from Scourge of the Past, so a lot of people had a hard time getting it to drop. Not only did you need a competent team, but you needed to be lucky enough to get the gun, then it needed to be a god roll, or the very rare curated roll. As much as I love this weapon, I'm not sure if it would hold up to today's standards, but if rapid fire shotguns ever get a big buff, I would love to get my hands on an updated threat level. Next up is quite possibly the strongest legendary fusion rifle in Destiny. Loaded question. This was the first weapon to get Reservoir Burst. When the battery is full, your next burst deals more damage and causes enemies to explode. There are a few weapons that have this perk currently in the game, but none of them compare to Loaded Question. And that's for one reason. Auto-loading holster. None of them get this perk. Now, why is this so important? Well, Reservoir Burst only activates on the first shot, so you need to reload after every shot to keep it active. With auto-loading, you can shoot once, swap weapons, then when you swap back, you have Reservoir Burst active again. Midas Reckoning comes close since it has the Runneth Over perk to overfill the magazine, which keeps Reservoir Burst active, but that requires reloading your multiple teammates for it to be worth it, while auto-loading just requires you to swap weapons. Honestly, I'm fine if they don't bring Loaded Question back, but they need to give us another fusion rifle with auto-loading and Reservoir Burst. Number 3 on the list is something you might not expect, but I love it too much not to put it on the list. Last Hope. This and Uriel's Gift ruled the Crucible in year 1, but what a lot of people forget about is that they gave it random rolls during year 3, and this turned it into one of the best PvE primaries at the time. First off, it's an arc 3-round burst sidearm. It could roll with a variety of perks, but the ones I always searched for were Feeding Frenzy, Multi-Kill Clip, and Rampage. I know, kinda boring, but you have to admit they're good. It was a very solid sidearm, and I always kept an eye out for good rolls. I've even held on to a few of my best ones for about 2 years now. I'm not sure if this would be as strong as it once was today, but if it ever does return, since it's an arc weapon, it could potentially get updated with Volt Shot. This is a new perk that jolts enemies by reloading after a kill. Not many weapons have this yet, and it would definitely get people excited. That might sound crazy, but they did something similar with Callus Mini Tool. Before, it was just a normal SMG that was also sunset, but when it got updated, they gave it Incandescent, the solar equivalent to Volt Shot. So I don't think it's very unlikely. Next up is a true legendary weapon, and I don't mean its rarity. It's one of the most loved and hated weapons of all time. But if you are enjoying this video, be sure to leave a like down below. This weapon is of course the Recluse. As you can see with my kill counter, I used it a lot. This is a lightweight Viced SMG that got its own unique perk called Master of Arms. Kills with any weapon improves its damage for a short time. So you could get a kill with your special, heavy, or even itself and get a massive damage buff. And unlike most other perks, this only requires 1 kill. It was the easiest thing to do. I believe it got nerfed at some point, but even then, nothing came close to this monster of an SMG. It also came with Feeding Frenzy for faster reload speed by getting kills, and it had insanely good stats thanks to polygonal rifling, ricochet rounds, and its guaranteed range masterwork. This made it strong in both PvE and Crucible. So strong that basically, if you had Recluse, you were using Recluse. I completely understand Bungie not wanting to bring this back, but dang would it be awesome. Yes, we do currently have Funnel Web, which is similar, but even if you have the God Roll Funnel Web, Adrenaline Junkie is nothing compared to Master of Arms. Next up is the true pinnacle of Destiny, the peak of Destiny, the Mountaintop. You either love it or hate it, but there's no denying that it completely changed the game. This is a kinetic grenade launcher with the unique perk called Micro Missile. This makes it fire in a straight line indefinitely, and it detonates whenever it hits a surface. It one-shot in Crucible, it melted bosses, and anything it didn't kill was left weak enough to be finished off with Recluse. Just like the Recluse, if you had Mountaintop, you were using Mountaintop. Go back and watch old Destiny videos and you'll see plenty of Mountaintops and Recluses because they really were the best. Now, let's be honest, Mountaintop isn't even a grenade launcher. It's a rocket launcher that takes special ammo, and that's really why people loved it. Will Bungie ever bring this weapon back? Probably not, but if they do, it'll change Destiny 2 forever. You can actually still get the old versions of Mountaintop and Recluse through the Exotic Archive in the Tower for Ascendant Shards, which you can easily get from all the sources in this video. Thanks for watching, I'm Marshix, and I'll see you next time.